What if everything you've been told about spiritual awakening is a beautiful lie? We're promised enlightenment. We're promised enlightenment will solve all our problems, that we'll float on clouds of perpetual bliss. But what if awakening isn't an escape from pain, but a deeper immersion into reality, with all its shadows and light? The spiritual marketplace sells us a comfortable fantasy that we can buy, achieve, or manifest our way to transcendence. The truth? Real awakening doesn't bypass human experience, it deepens it. It doesn't eliminate problems, it transforms our relationship with them. Awakening doesn't remove human condition, eliminate imperfections, doubts, or anxieties. On the contrary, it amplifies our perception of them. What no one told you is that awakening will strip away your comforting illusions and force you to face what you've been avoiding your entire life. Are you ready to discover what lies beneath the spiritual marketing, beyond the Instagram filters, and within the depths of authentic awakening? First, we must understand our greatest obstacle, the ego. That structure of identity we've spent our entire lives building and protecting. The ego wants to be special, important, recognized. It sees spirituality as another achievement, another identity to claim. But true awakening threatens everything the ego holds dear. It reveals we are not separate, special snowflakes, but waves in the vast ocean of existence. When someone enters awakening, expecting it to elevate their importance, they encounter an abyss of frustration. For awakening does not nourish the ego. It reveals it in all its fragility. The ego, clever as it is, often creates a new disguise, a spiritual ego that wears enlightenment like a badge of honor. Have you noticed this in yourself or others? This false spirituality transforms the journey into a title, an achievement, rather than a process of detachment. The spiritual ego becomes more dangerous than the original ego because it's disguised as enlightenment. The next challenge? Disillusionment. The painful process of having everything you believed about yourself and the world systematically dismantled. Awakening takes away our ground, the comfortable beliefs and external solutions we've relied on. This process of cleansing can feel like drowning before you learn to swim in new waters. But here's what the spiritual influencers won't tell you. This groundlessness isn't a detour on the path. It is the path. The discomfort isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's evidence you're finally doing it right. As consciousness expands, it illuminates our internal shadows. Everything we've repressed, hidden, or denied about ourselves. These aren't just complementary to the journey. They are the journey. What many forget is that by trying to ignore these parts, they don't disappear. On the contrary, they remain latent, acting in our unconscious, influencing our choices, our relationships, our view of the world. Are you willing to face your shadow? The parts of yourself you've deemed unacceptable, the emotions you consider shameful, the painful memories you've buried? This is where true transformation begins. Beyond the shadow work lies perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of awakening: the dark night of the soul. A profound spiritual crisis that feels like everything meaningful has been stripped away. What once seemed a well-lit path now fades, leading to deep introspection and questioning of one's life and beliefs. You may experience profound helplessness, loss of purpose, absence of connection with anything sacred. Society tells us to run from this darkness. Take a pill, book a retreat, find a quick fix. But what if this apparent breakdown is actually the beginning of a breakthrough? The dark night isn't a detour from your path. It's a necessary phase for spiritual growth. An invitation to strip away the illusions you've built about yourself and life. What we resist persists, while what we accept can transform. The way through this darkness isn't fighting it, but developing a new relationship with it. Can you sit with the emptiness without trying to escape? Those who embrace rather than escape this phase often emerge with a spiritual rebirth, a more authentic connection to themselves and others, a deeper compassion, and paradoxically, a groundedness that wasn't possible before. But even those who navigate the dark night face another subtle danger: the trap of spiritual superiority. As our practices deepen, we risk falling into hidden pride, seeing ourselves as more evolved than others. When awakening becomes a matter of status, when we begin seeing ourselves on a higher level compared to others, we've moved away from its true purpose. The spiritual ego has replaced the conventional ego. True enlightenment is not about being seen as superior, but about the willingness to serve others. Not about rising above humanity, but fully embodying it, with all its messiness and beauty. Have you caught yourself judging others for being less spiritual? Making assumptions about their level of consciousness? This isn't evidence of your advancement. It's a sign that the ego has simply found a more sophisticated disguise. So what does authentic awakening actually look like? Not an escape from humanity, but a deeper embrace of it. Not transcending emotions, but feeling them more fully. Not rejection of the material world, but seeing the sacred within it. The awakened life exists in paradox, being both ordinary and extraordinary. Finding the sacred in mundane moments, being both human and aware of something beyond the human. Instead of floating above life's challenges, true awakening gives you deeper roots to weather any storm. Instead of numbing pain, it allows you to transform it into compassion. Instead of spiritual bypassing, it offers spiritual integration. What if awakening isn't about perfection but wholeness? Not about having no shadow, but about bringing light to it. Not about transcending humanity, but fully embodying it with awareness. The most profound sign of awakening isn't mystical experiences or spiritual knowledge. It's how you treat the grocery clerk when you're having a bad day. It's the compassion you show to those who can offer you nothing in return. Awakening reveals we are not separate, special snowflakes. We are waves in the vast ocean of existence. Our uniqueness and our unity coexist. Another paradox of the awakened life. The awakened life isn't found in elaborate spiritual practices or achieving altered states, though these can be valuable tools. It's found in the radical aliveness of this moment, exactly as it is. The awakened life embraces this profound truth. We are both human and divine, limited and limitless, separate and connected, dying and eternal. The spiritual journey isn't about resolving these paradoxes, but living within them gracefully. There is no single right way to awaken. Some paths emphasize surrender, others effort. Some focus on transcendence, others on embodiment. What matters isn't the path you choose, but your sincerity in walking it. The dark side of awakening isn't something to fear or avoid. It's essential territory on the map of consciousness. By embracing it with courage and compassion, you discover a wholeness that transcends the narrow definitions of spirituality sold in the marketplace. Are you ready to embrace both the light and shadow of awakening? To face your ego, explore your darkness, navigate disillusionment, and emerge more whole? This journey won't be easy, but nothing of real value ever is. Remember that awakening isn't about escaping your humanity. It's about embracing it fully. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more authentically yourself. Not about finding answers, but living the questions. The journey through the dark side of awakening leads to an unexpected treasure: the capacity to hold both joy and sorrow, certainty and doubt, the sacred and mundane, all as part of one integrated, precious human experience. Your awakening won't look like anyone else's. It won't match the Instagram posts or the ancient texts. It will be uniquely yours. Messy, beautiful, challenging, and ultimately the only one that matters. The dark side of awakening isn't the enemy of the light. It's what gives the light depth, meaning, and truth. By embracing both, you discover not the perfection sold in spiritual marketplaces, but something far more valuable: authentic wholeness. Now that we've explored the darker aspects of awakening, let's integrate this understanding into a more complete picture. Awakening isn't a destination. It's a continuous unfolding that includes periods of clarity and confusion, expansion and contraction. The process follows natural laws. Just as a seed can't be forced to become a tree overnight, consciousness unfolds according to its own timeline. Pushing too hard often creates resistance, while patient attention allows natural evolution. Many seekers swing between extremes: spiritual bypassing that avoids difficult emotions, or endless shadow work that becomes its own form of self-obsession. The middle path integrates both transcendence and embodiment, both acceptance and transformation. What practices support authentic awakening? You cannot make it into a false skin and walking. Meditation, shadow work, embodiment practices, self-inquiry, all can be valuable depending on your unique constitution and what phase of the journey you're in. The most profound awakening doesn't require you to abandon your life and sit in a cave. It happens right in the midst of relationships, work challenges, paying bills, and dealing with everyday stresses, bringing presence and compassion to all of it. One of the most powerful practices is radical honesty with yourself and others. Can you admit when you're using spirituality to avoid life rather than embrace it more fully? Can you acknowledge your spiritual pride when it arises? Finding supportive community, people who won't enable your spiritual bypassing or ego inflation, but will compassionately reflect your blind spots, is invaluable. The path is ultimately walked alone, but companions make the journey richer and more sustainable. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily practices that integrate awareness into everyday life. A few minutes of meditation, moments of conscious breathing, gratitude practices create more sustainable transformation than occasional spiritual peak experiences. Awakening requires discernment, the wisdom to know which teachings and practices serve your authentic evolution versus those that feed spiritual materialism or bypassing. This discernment develops through experience, reflection, and listening to your deeper knowing. The awakened heart doesn't avoid difficult emotions. It has the capacity to hold them all. Joy, sorrow, anger, love, fear, all are welcomed as part of the rich tapestry of human experience. This emotional capacity develops as we practice staying present with whatever arises. The most profound awakening often happens in the most ordinary moments. Washing dishes with full presence, truly listening to a child, feeling the wind on your face. These moments of simple, direct experience, free from the mind's commentary, reveal the extraordinary within the ordinary. Remember that awakening isn't a finish line. It's an ongoing journey of deepening awareness, integration, and compassion. Even the most profound insights must be lived and embodied again and again in the laboratory of everyday life. The fruits of authentic awakening naturally express as service, not from obligation, but from the recognition that we are all connected. How your service manifests will be unique to your gifts and circumstances, but the impulse to contribute to the well-being of life is universal. True spirituality doesn't remove you from the world, it roots you more deeply in it. The awakened life is fully engaged with both universal consciousness and the particular details of human existence. Bills, relationships, social issues, the body's needs. Awakening requires courage, the willingness to be vulnerable, to have your beliefs challenged, to face your shadow, to stand in uncertainty. This courage isn't about being fearless, but about feeling fear and moving forward anyway. The ultimate practice is presence, being fully here, now, with whatever is arising, not grasping at pleasant experiences or pushing away unpleasant ones, but meeting each moment with openness, curiosity, and compassion. You are the only one who can walk your path. Teachers, books, and practices can point the way, but ultimately, you must take responsibility for your own awakening. Trust your direct experience while remaining open to guidance that resonates with your deeper knowing. The invitation of awakening is radical acceptance, saying yes to all of life. Yes to joy and sorrow. Yes to clarity and confusion. Yes to transcendence and immanence. Yes to the human journey in all its messy glory. Are you ready to embrace both the light and shadow of your awakening journey? To face your ego, explore your darkness, navigate disillusionment, and emerge more whole? The path isn't easy, but it leads to a life of authenticity, depth, and profound connection. The dark side of awakening isn't the enemy of the light. It's what gives the light depth, meaning, and truth. By embracing both, you discover not the perfection sold in spiritual marketplaces, but something far more valuable: authentic wholeness.